Hey guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Amish Mindset. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm noticing more views, not that many likes. Do I suck that bad? Let me know. Be honest. Anywho, if you like to support my work, that is many ways to do so. You can like, share, repost, see the other places that I upload my videos. I just made a Rumble account. So I'm going to be very busy uploading a lot of stuff to that. It should be under the same name for AllyKat211. If you get anything from my work, a connected dot, an epiphany, a light bulb, a mic drop, a new author, a new book to read, please consider supporting my work, supporting me, keeping me fed, keeping co-host number 2 fed. Look who's here with me. Say hi, Ethan. Support this poor little traumatized cat. And my move. The links will be dropped down below, and I really do appreciate those of you who are helping me and have helped me out in the past. It's been almost a year, and I can't even fathom where that time went. And just an update, I signed in what did I sign today? Or yesterday? No, still today. The closing contract, but the closing hasn't happened yet. I don't know dates. I don't know what's going on. So in the meantime, I have nothing still. And late on my bills, so I just got a very fun internet bill. Fun. Either way. He doesn't really make that many many videos. He doesn't come on too often. I think he knows change is almost here and he has to behave. He also has a huge pimple starting to form again, this poor thing. Dr. Pimple Popper over here. Anywho, paper 36, the life carriers. It should be very interesting. Life does not originate spontaneously. Life is constructed according to plans formulated by the unrevealed architects of being and appears on the inhabited planets either by direct importation or as a result of the operations of life carriers of the local universes. These carriers are life are among the most interesting and versatile of the diverse family of universe suns. They are entrusted with the designing and carrying creature life to the planetary spheres. And after planting this life on such new worlds, they remain here for long periods to foster its development. Curious who those things could be? We'll find out. Origin and nature of life carriers. Though the life carriers belong to the family of divine sonship, they are particular and distinct type of universe suns, being the only group of intelligent life in a local universe in whose creation the rulers of a super universe participate. The life carriers are the offspring of 3 pre-existent personalities: the creator sun, the universe mother spirit, and by designation one of 3 ancients of days, presiding over the destinies of the super universe concerned. These ancients of days, who alone can decree the extinction of intelligent life, participate in creation of the life carriers, who are entrusted with establishing physical life on the evolving worlds. In the universe of Nebadon, we have on record the creation of 100 million life carriers. This efficient corps of life disseminators is not a truly self-governing group. They are directed by the life-determining trio consisting of Gabriel, the father Melchizedek, and Nambia, the original and firstborn life carrier of Nebadon. But in all phases of their divisional administration, they are self-governing. Life carriers are graded into 3 grand divisions. The first division is the senior life carriers, the second, assistants, and third, custodians. The primary division is subdivided into 12 groups of specialists in the various forms of life manifestation. The segregation of these 3 divisions was effected by the Melchizedeks, who conducted tests for such purposes on life carriers, headquarters sphere. The Melchizedeks have ever since been closely associated with the life carriers and always accompany them when they go forth to establish life on a new planet. When an evolutionary planet is finally settled in life, the life carriers are organized into the higher deliberative bodies of an adversary capacity to assist in the further administration and development of the world and its glorified beings. In the later and settled ages of evolving universe, these life carriers are entrusted with many new duties. The life carrier worlds. The Melchizedeks have the general oversight of the 4th group of 7 primary spheres in Salvington Circuit. These worlds of the life carriers are designated as follows: the life carrier headquarters, the life planning sphere, the life conservation sphere, the sphere of life evolution, the sphere of life associated with mind, the sphere of mind and spirit in living beings, the sphere of unrevealed life. Each of these primary spheres is surrounded by 6 satellites on which the special phases of all the life carriers' activities in the universe are centered. World number 1, the headquarters sphere, together with its 6 tributary satellites, is devoted to the study of universal life in all of its known phases of manifestation. Here it is located the College of Life Planning, wherein function teachers, advisors from Yaversa and Hervona, even from Paradise. And I am permitted to reveal that the 7 central emplacements of the adjutant mind spirits are situated on this world of the life carriers. Number 10, the decimal system, is inherent in the physical universe, but not in the spiritual. The domain of life is characterized by 3, 7, and 12, or by multiples and combinations of these basic numbers. There are 3 primal and essentially different life plans, after the order of the 3 paradise sources and centers, and in the universe of Nebadon, these 3 basic forms of life are segregated on 3 different types of planets. They were originally 12 distinct and divine concepts of transmutable life. This number 12, with its subdivision and multiples, runs throughout all basic life patterns of all 7 universes. There are also 7 archetypal types of life design, fundamental arrangements of the reproducing configurations of life matter. The Orvantin life patterns are configured as 12 inheritance carriers. The differing orders of will creatures are configured as 12, 24, 48, 96, 192, 384, and 768. On Urantia, there are 48 units of pattern control trait determiners in the sex cells of human reproduction. The second world is the life designing sphere. Here, all modes of life or organized are worked out. While the original life designs are provided by the Creator Sun, the actual outworking these plans is entrusted to the life carriers and their associates. When the general life plans for a new world have been formulated, they are transmitted to the headquarters spheres, where they are minutely scrutinized by the Supreme Council of the Senior Life Carriers, in collaboration with the Corps of Consulting Melchizedeks. If the planes are departure from previously accepted formulas, they must be passed upon and endorsed by the Creator Sun. The chief of Melchizedeks often represent the creator son in these deliberations. Planetary life, therefore, while similar in some respects, differs in many ways on each evolutionary world. Even in a uniform life series in a single family of worlds, life is not exactly the same on any two planets. There is always a planetary type for the life carriers work constantly in an effort to improve the vital formulas committed to their keeping. There are over 1 million fundamental or cosmic chemical formulas which constitute the parent patterns and the numerous basic functional variations of life manifestations. Satellite number 1 of the life planting sphere is the realm of the universe physicists and electrochemists who serve as technical assistants to the life carriers in the work of capturing, organizing, and manipulating the essential units of energy, which are employed in building up the material vehicles of life transmission, the so-called germ plasm. Pause, 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 pause. Sounds very familiar to what has happened to us. We're a chemistry experiment done by the Anunnaki, who is of God's creatures. Were they life carriers? Plausible. Or did they get their information from these life carriers? It's like I'm repeating like the Anunnaki series here. The planetary life planning laboratories are situated on the second satellite of this world number 2. In these laboratories, the life carriers and all their associates collaborate with the Melchizedeks in the effort to modify and possibly improve the life design for implementation on the decimal planets of Nebadon. The life now evolving on Urantia was planned and partially worked out on this very world. For Urantia is a decimal planet, a life experiment world. On one world in each 10, a greater variance in the standard life designs is permitted than on the other non-experimental worlds. Pause again. This is going to be really difficult to stomach. I'm still figuring this out myself. If this is a simulation, this plane of existence that we're living on, this work and many others, I'm not saying all channeled work. I believe the law of one is one of those untapped, not of the negative polarity given to us. And I'm not saying this book is negative, but is the beings that are being channeled positive? Now, it's claimed that they're Earth, but then we have Agartha in fourth density, so they're a part of Earth. I'm just questioning. I mean, it is allowed in God's universe, this super universe section, and all of its inhabitants were created, and there's different planes of existence that bleed into each other because of the octaves and the vibrations. Now, if we are in the Satan simulation, which I believe that we really are, trying to learn how to see the light and the spirit that we are within, this here being an experiment and them making us, our vehicles, not our souls, our vehicles, might not be of the positive sort, because it didn't start positive. Our existence were brought about by being enslaved, and we might finally get liberated, but we'll see when that happens. Just a side note, just me thinking out loud. World number 3 is devoted to the conservation of life. Here, various modes of life protection and preservation are studied and developed by the assistants and custodians of the life carrier, corpse. Now, if we think about the custodians and nos confunden, the life plans for every new world always provide for the early establishment of Life Conservation Commission, consisting of custodian specialists and the expert manipulation of the basic life patterns. On Urantia, there were 24 such custodian commissioners, 2 for each fundamental or parent part pattern of the architectural organization of the life material. On planets such as yours, the highest form of life is reproduced by a life-carrying bundle, which possesses 24 pattern units. And since intellectual life grows out of and upon the foundation of the physical, there come into an existence the 4 and 20 basic orders of psychic organization. Sphere number 4 and its tributary satellites are devoted to the study of the evolution of creature life in general and to the evolutionary antecedents of any one life level in particular. The original life plasm of an evolutionary world must contain the full potential for all future and developmental variations for all subsequent evolutionary changes and modifications. The provisions for such far-reaching projects of life metamorphosis may require the appearance of many apparently useless forms of animal and vegetable life. Such byproducts of planet evolution, foreseen or unforeseen, appear upon the stage of action only to disappear. But in and through all this long process, these runs the thread of the wise and intelligent formulations of the original designers of the planetary life plan and species scheme. The manifold byproducts of biologic evolution are all essential to the final and full function of a higher intelligent forms of life, notwithstanding that great outward disharmony may prevail from time to time in the long upward struggle of the higher creatures happening now to effect the mastery of the lower forms of life, many of which are sometimes so antagonistic to the peace and comfort of the evolving world creatures. Well, here we are. Here we are. Spirit sinks again. Number 5 world is concerned wholly with life associated with mind. Each of its satellites is devoted to the study of a single phase of creature mind correlated with creature life. Mind such as man comprehends an endowment of 7 adjunct mind spirits and superimposed on the non-teachable or mechanical levels of mind by the agencies of the infinite spirit. The life patterns are variously responsive to these adjuncts and to the different spirit ministries operating throughout the universes of time and space. The capacity of material creatures to effect spirit response is entirely dependent on the associated mind endowment, which in turn has directionalized the course of the biologic evolutions of these same mortal creatures. World number 6 is dedicated to the correlation of mind with spirit as they are associated with living forms and organisms. This world and its 6 tributaries embrace the schools of creature coordination within teachers from both the central universe and the super universe collaborate with the Nebadon instructors in presenting the highest levels of creature attainment in time and space. The 7th sphere of the life carriers is dedicated to the unrevealed domains of evolutionary creature life as it is related to the cosmic philosophy of the expanding fractalization of Supreme Being. As I said, we are fractals of God. Life transplantation. Life does not spontaneously appear in the universes. The life carriers must initiate it on the barren planets. There are the carriers, disseminators, and guardians of life, as it appears on the evolutionary worlds of space. All life of the order and forms known on Urantia arise with these suns, though not all forms of planetary life are existent on Urantia. The corps of life carriers commissioned to plant life upon a new world usually consists of 100 senior carriers, 100 assistants, and 1,000 custodians. The life carriers often carry actual life plasm to a new world, but not always. They sometimes organize the life patterns after arriving on the planet of assignment in accordance with formulas previously approved for a new adventure in life establishment. Such was the origin of the planetary life of Urantia. When in accordance with the approved formulas, the physical patterns have been approved, then do the life carriers catalyze this lifeless material, imparting through their persons the vital spirit spark, and forthwith do the inert patterns becoming living matter. The vital spark, the mystery of life, is bestowed through the life carriers, not by them. They do not indeed supervise such transactions. They formulate the life plasm itself, but it is the universe mother spirit who supplies the essential factor of the living plasm. From the creative daughter of the infinite spirit comes the energy spark which enlivens the body and presages the mind. In the bestowal of life, the life carriers transmit nothing of their personal natures, not even on the spheres where new orders of life are projected. At such times, they simply initiate and transmit the spark of life, start the required revolutions of matter in accordance with the physical, chemical, and electrical specifications of ordained plans and patterns. Life carriers are living catalytic presences which aggregate, organize, and vitalize the otherwise inert elements of the material order of existence. The life carriers of a planetary corpse are given a certain period in which to establish life on a new world, approximately 1/2 million years of the time of that planet. At the termination of this period indicated by certain developmental attainments of the planetary life, there cease implementation efforts, and they may not subsequently add anything new or supplemental to the life of that planet. During the ages intervening between establishment and the emergence of human creatures of moral status, the life carriers are permitted to manipulate the life environment and otherwise favorably directionalize the course of biologic evolution. And this they do for long periods of time. Really now? Ooh. When the life carriers operating on a new world have once succeeded in producing a being with will, with the power of moral decision and spiritual choice, then and their work terminates. Therethrough, they may manipulate the evolving life no further. From this point forward, the evolution of living things must proceed in accordance with the endowment of the inherent nature and tendencies which have already been imparted to and established in the planetary life formulas and patterns. The life carriers are not permitted to experiment or to interfere with will. They are not allowed to dominate or arbitrarily influence mortal creatures. Upon the arrival of planetary prince, they prepared to leave. Though 2 of the senior carriers and 12 custodians may volunteer by taking temporary renunciation vows to remain indefinitely on the planet as advisors in the matter of the future development and conservation of the life plasm. 2 such sons and their 12 associates are now serving on Urantia. Melchizedek life carriers. In every local system of inhabited worlds throughout Nebadon, there is a single sphere whereon the Melchizedeks have functioned as life carriers. These abodes are known as the system Midzanite worlds, and on each of them are materially modified. Melchizedek's son has mated with the selected daughter of the material order of sonship. The mother Eve's such Sidonite, Midzanite worlds are dispatched from system headquarters of jurisdiction, having been chosen by the designated Melchizedek life carrier from among the numerous volunteers who respond to the call of the system sovereign addressed to the material daughters of the sphere. The progeny of a Melchizedek life carrier and a material daughter are known as Midzaniters. The Melchizedek father of such a race, supernal creatures, eventually leaves the planet of his unique life function, and the mother Eve of this special order of universe beings also departs upon the appearance of the 7th generation of planetary offspring. The direction of such a world then devolves upon her eldest son. The Midzanite creatures live and function as reproducing beings on their magnificent worlds until they are 1,000 standard years of age, whereupon they are translated by Sephatic transport. Midzaniters are non-reproducing beings thereafter because the technique of dematerialization which they pass through in preparation for enseraphiming forever deprives them of reproductive prerogatives. The present status of these beings can hardly be reckoned as either mortal or immortal. Neither can be definitively classified as human or divine. These creatures are not. Adjuster indwelt, hence hardly immortal. But neither do they seem to be mortal. No Midsoniter has experienced death. All Midsoniters ever born on Nebadon are alive today, functioning on their native worlds, on some intervening sphere, or on the Salvington Midzanite sphere of Finaliters group and worlds. The Salvington worlds of the Finaliters, the Melchizedek life carriers, as well as the associated mother Eves, go from the system Midzanite spheres to the Finaliter worlds of the Salvington circuit, where their offspring are also destined to foregather. It should be explained in this connection that the 5th group of 7 primary worlds in the Salvington circuit are the Nebadon worlds of the Finaliters. The children of the Melchizedek life carriers and the material daughters are domicile on the 7th world of the Finaliters, the Salvington Mezzanite sphere. The satellites of the 7 primary worlds of the Finaliters are the redevness of the personalities of the super and central universes who may be executing assignments in Nebadon, while the ascending mortals go about freely on all of the cultural worlds and training spheres of the 490 worlds comprising the Melchizedek University. There are certain special schools and numerous restricted zones which they are not permitted to enter. This is especially true of the 49 spheres under the jurisdiction of the Finaliters. The purpose of the Mezzanite creatures is not of the present known, but it would appear that these personalities are forthgathering on the 7th Finaliter world in preparation for some future eventuality in universe evolution. Our inquiries concerning the Mezzanite race are always referred to as the Finaliters, and always do the Finaliters decline to discuss the destiny of their wards. Regardless of our uncertainty as to the future of the Mezzaniters, we do know that every local universe in Orvanton harbors such an accumulating corpse of these mysterious beings. It is the belief of the Melchizedek life carriers that the Mezzanite children will someday be redoubled with the transcendental eternal spirit of absentee by God the ultimate. Anunnaki. Just saying. The 7 adjunct mind spirits. It is the presence of the 7 adjunct mind spirits on the primitive worlds that condition the course of organic evolution. That explains why evolution is purposeful and not accidental. These sorry guys, my teeth. Adjudicants represent the function of the mind ministry of the infinite spirit, which is extended to the lower orders of the intelligent life through the operations of a local universe mother spirit. The adjuncts are the children of the universe mother spirit and constitute her personal ministry to the material minds of the realms. Wherever and whenever such mind is manifested, these spirits are variously functioning. The 7 adjudicant mind spirits are called by names which are of the equivalence of the following designations: intuition, understanding, courage, knowledge, counsel, worship, and wisdom. These mind spirits sent forth their influence into all the inhabited worlds as a differential urge, each seeking receptivity capacity for the manifestation quite apart for the degree which its fellows may be reception and opportunity to function. Sorry, guys, I don't know if that was the right page. I bet you it wasn't. Life carriers are living catalytic. You see? No, I had it right. Sorry, guys. These pages are like thin. Super thin. So I never know if I make a boo-boo when I turn the page. The central lodgements of the adjudicant spirits on the life carrier's headquarters world indicate to the life carrier supervisors the extent and quality of the mind function of the adjudicants on any world and in any living organism of intellectual status. These life mind placements are perfect indicators of living mind function for the first 5 adjudicants, but with regard to the 6th and 7th adjudicant spirits, worship and wisdom, these central lodgements record only a qualitative function. The qualitative activity of the adjudicant of worship and the adjudicant of wisdom is registered in the immediate process of the divine minister of Salvington, being a personal experience of the universal mother spirit. The 7 adjudicant mind spirits always accompany the life carriers to a new planet, but they should not be regarded as entities. They are more like circuits. The spirits of the 7 universe adjudicants do not function as personalities apart from the universe presence of the divine minister. They are, in fact, a level of consciousness of the divine minister and always subordinate to the action and presence of their creative mother. We are handicapped for words adequately to designate these 7 adjudicant mind spirits. They are ministers of lower levels of experimental mind, and they may be described in the order of evolutionary attainment as follows. 1, the spirit of intuition, quick perception, the primitive physical and inherent reflex instincts, the directional and other self-preservation endowments of all mind creations, the only one of the adjudicants to function so largely in the lower orders of animal life, and the only one to make extensive functional contract with the non-teachable levels of mechanical mind. 2, the spirit of understanding, the impulse of coordination, the spontaneous and apparently automatic association of ideas. This is the gift of the coordination of acquired knowledge, the phenomenon of quick reasoning, rapid judgment, and prompt decision. The spirit 3, the spirit of courage, the fidelity endowment in personal beings, the basis of character acquirement and intellectual root of moral stamina in spiritual bravery. When enlightened by facts and inspired by truth, this becomes the secret of the urge of evolutionary ascension by the channels of intelligent and conscious self-direction. 4. The spirit of knowledge. The curiosity mother of adventure and discovery, the scientific spirit, the guide and faithful associate of the spirits of courage and counsel, the urge to direct the endowments of courage into useful and progressive paths of growth. 5. The spirit of counsel. The social urge, the endowment of species, cooperation, the ability of will creatures to harmonize with their fellows, the origin of the gregarious instinct among the more lowly creatures. I do apologize, guys. My teeth are super loose. The serpent of worship. The religious impulse, the first differential urge, separating mind creatures into the two basic classes of mortal existence. The spirit of worship forever distinguishes the animal of its association from the soulless creatures of mind endowment. Worship is the badge of spiritual ascension candidacy. 7. The spirit of wisdom. The inherent tendency of all mortal creatures towards orderly and progressive evolutionary advancement. This is the highest of the adjudicants, the spirit coordinator and articulator of the work of all the others. The spirit is the secret of that inborn urge of mind creatures, which initiates and maintains the practical and effective program of the ascending scale of existence, that gift of living things which accounts for that and their inexplicable ability to survive, and in survival, to utilize the coordination of all their past experiences and present opportunities for the acquisition of all of everything that all of the other 6 mental ministers can mobilize in the mind of the organism concerned. Wisdom is the outcome of intellectual performance. Wisdom is the goal of a purely mental and moral existence. The adjudicant mind spirits experimentally grow, but they never become personal. They evolve in function, and the function of the first 5 in the animal orders is to a certain extent essential to the function of all 7 as human intellect. The animal relationship makes the adjudicants more practically effective as human mind. Hence, animals are to a certain extent indispensable to men's intellectual as well as to the physical evolution. These mind adjudicants of local universe mother spirit are related to creature life of intelligent status, much as the power centers and physical controllers are related to the non-living forces of the universe. They perform invaluable services in the mind circuits on the inhabited worlds, and they are effective collaborators with the master physical controllers, who also serve as controllers and directors of the pre-judicant mind levels, the levels of non-teachable or mechanical mind. Living mind prior to the appearance of capacity to learn from experience is the ministry domain of the master physical controllers. Creature minds, before acquiring the ability to recognize divinity and worship deity, is the exclusive domain of the adjunct spirits. With the appearance of the spiritual response of the creature intellect, such creative minds at once become superminded, being instantly encircuited in the spirit cycles of the local universe mother spirit. The adjudicant mind spirits are in no manner directly related to the diverse and highly spiritual function of the spirit of the personal presence of the divine minister, the Holy Spirit of inhabited worlds, but they are functionally antecedent to and preparatory for the appearance of this very spirit in evolutionary man. The adjudicants afford the universe mother spirit a verified contract with and control over the material living creatures of a local universe, but they do not repercuss in the supreme being when acting on pre-personality levels. Non-spiritual mind is either a spirit energy manifestation or a physical energy phenomenon. Every human mind, personal mind, has no survival qualities apart from spirit identification. Mind is a divinity bestowal, but it is not immortal when it functions without spirit inside. and when it is devoid of the ability to worship and crave survival. Interesting. The living forces. Life is both mechanistic and vitalistic, material and spiritual. Ever will Urantia physicists and chemists progress in their understanding of the protoplasmic forms of vegetable and animal life, but never will they be able to produce living organisms. Life is something different from all energy manifestations. Even the material life or physical creatures is not inherent in matter. Things material may enjoy an independent existence, but life springs only from life. Mind can be derived only from pre-existent mind. Spirit takes origin only from spirit ancestors. The creature may produce the forms of life, but only a creative personality or creative force can supply the activating life spark. Truth. Life carriers can organize the material forms or physical patterns of living beings, but the spirit provides the initial spark of life and bestows the endowment of mind. Even the living forms of experimental life, which the creator carriers organize on their sovereign worlds, are always devoid of reproductive powers. When the life formulas and vital patterns are correctly assembled and properly organized, the presence of a life carrier is sufficient to initiate life, but all such living organisms are lacking in two essential attributes: mind endowment and reproductive powers. Animal mind and human mind are gifts of the local universe mother spirit, functioning through the seven adjudicant mind spirits, while creature ability to reproduce is a specific and personal impartation of the universal spirit to the ancestral life plasm inaugurated by the life carriers. When the life carriers has designed the patterns of life after they have organized these energy systems, they must occur in additional phenomenon. The breath of life must be imparted to these lifeless forms. The sons of God can construct the forms of life, but it is the spirit of God who really contributes the vital spark. And when the life thus imparted is spent, then again the remaining material body becomes dead matter. When the bestowal of life is exhausted, the body returns to the bosom of the material universe from which it was borrowed by the life carriers to serve as transient vehicle for the life endowment, which they convey to such a visible association of energy matter. The life bestowal upon planets and animals by the life carriers does not return to the life carriers upon the death of a plant or animal. The departing life of such a living thing possesses neither identity nor personality. It does not individually survive death. During its existence and the time of its sojourn in the body of matter, it has undergone a change. It has undergone energy evolution and survives only as a part of the cosmic forces of the universe. It does not survive as individual life. I don't agree with that. The survival of mortal creatures is wholly predicted on the evolvement of an immortal soul within the mortal mind. We speak of life as energy and as force, but it is really neither. Force energy is variously gravity response. Life is not. Pattern is also non-responsive to gravity, being a configuration of energies that have already fulfilled all gravity response obligations. Life as such constitutes the animation of some pattern configured or otherwise segregated system of energy, material, vital, or spiritual. There are some things connected with an elaboration of life on the evolutionary planets, which are not altogether clear to us. We fully comprehend the physical organization of the electrochemical formulas of life carriers, but we do not wholly understand the nature and source of life activation spark. We know that life flows from the Father through the Son and by the Spirit. It is more than possible that the master spirits are the sevenfold channel of the river of life, which is poured out upon all creation. But we do not comprehend the technique whereby the supervising master spirit participates in the initial episode of life bestowal on a new planet. The Ancients of Days are we are confident, also have some part in the inauguration of life on a new world, but we are wholly ignorant of the in nature thereof. We do know that the universe Mother Spirit actually vitalizes the lifeless patterns and imparts to such active plasma the prerogatives of organismal reproduction. We observe that the three of the levels of God, sevenfold, sometimes designated as the supreme creator of time and space, but otherwise we know little more than Urantia mortals. Simply, the concept is inherent in the Father, expression in the Son, and life realization in the Spirit. Indicated by Veronadek's son, stationed on Urantia as an observer acting in this capacity by request of the Melchizedek chief of the supervising revelatory corps. And there we have finished Life Carriers, paper 36. Next time of the Urantia book, paper 37, Personalities of the Local Universe. This shall be very interesting. But I hope you enjoyed that. There's some things I don't agree with. My animals definitely have personality. They have souls. And I don't agree with that statement that was made there. I don't agree with it. And everything on this planet is sentient. It might not have a soul per se, but it has consciousness. Trees are sentient. Everything's sentient because we go through the densities. I'm more on the Dolores Cannon delivery of that than of this book. But then again, this is very interesting how a lot of this blends in with the other planetary people like the Anunnaki and all the galactic brothers and sisters coming down and creating our vehicles. Very interesting. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Maybe it's more on a spiritual level. Maybe they already ascended and they were light beings and then they materialized into the forms of Anunnaki and here we are. I don't know. Just speculative, but that life spark, if you go back to Dr. Sala, he interviews a guy, I don't know his name off the top of my head, who talks about him being a walk-in and how the woman that gave birth to him was supposed to have had complications and the baby was supposed to die, but he materialized, like he crushed down his higher energy being into the fetus and God gave it the spark of life. And he talks about that. So that is something interesting. If you're a Dr. Michael Sala fan, definitely go watch that because, you know, you don't need to believe him, but that is being spoken about the process here and where he got his spark of life from. God, obviously. But pretty interesting. And a lot of what that guy says, and I'm sorry that I don't remember his name off the top of my head, correlates with a lot of things here. So I just don't agree on a few things, but I don't need to agree to disagree. Sending each and every one of you love and light. And if you would like to help me, the links will be in the description box. I thank you guys so much. I hope to see you on the next one. I got my co-host number 2 sleeping at my feet, keeping me warm because now we're transitioning to fall. Until next time, have a good one, guys. Bye.